Here's what I know about you as a parent without me knowing anything at all about you as a parent. When it comes to parenting, the days are long, but the years are short. And as difficult as the long days are, it is a depressing thing to think that one day our children will one day no longer be children. The truth is that we eventually want our children to have their own life, and we as parents want our own life back. We want our children to be free, and we want our own freedom back. What's interesting, though, is that our children do not realize that we parents want our kids to have freedom. Can you imagine telling your kids that? They would be thinking, have you lost it? You're the only reason I don't have any freedom. Hang in there with me for a second and let me explain. For your child's first years on planet Earth, your child is solely dependent on you as a parent for almost everything. They cannot dress themselves, they cannot feed themselves, they cannot bathe themselves, they can't even really relieve themselves without help. Relieve themselves, number one, number two, pee, poop, clean up on aisle 4. And now, more than anything, we as parents want our kids to have the freedom they so deeply desire. You had no idea how much joy in life it brings back to you when your daughter or son can dress, feed, shower, and relieve themselves without needing a hazmat suit on your behalf. And then sooner than you think, parents, you'll be staring at ultimate freedom for your children. Your child being able to drive, your child getting a job, your child making their own money, your child perhaps moving away and going to college, a significant other in their life. Your child is eventually going to move out of your house. And here's what we parents understand, primarily because we've been to the future. We have experiences our children haven't, and know things our children do not know. Freedom is an incredible responsibility. People who always get their own way somehow wind up getting in their own way. If you always get your way, you actually lose your way. People who are irresponsible with their freedom end up in a place they didn't want to be. And if you don't believe me, consider that America's prison system is full of women and men who ended up in a place they never intended, many because of their inability to be responsible with the freedoms they had. What I'm trying to say is that the increase in freedom that comes with our children getting older, it holds an immense amount of power. And you understand this already. I would bet your child has already faced consequences for not so great choices they made, exercising some semblance of freedom. Your child gets their first job. Your child finally has access to social media. Freedom has a lot of potential for good and a lot of potential to get you into a lot of trouble. So how do we help our kids manage the freedom they gain and ensure that they can be trusted with more of it as they get older? Paul wrote the Galatian church this in a letter. It is absolutely clear that God has called you to a free life. Just make sure that you don't use this freedom as an excuse to do whatever you want to do and destroy your freedom. Rather, use your freedom to serve one another in love. That's how freedom grows. For everything we know about God's word is summed up in a single sentence. Love others as you love yourself. That's an act of true freedom. You bite and ravage each other. Watch out. In no time at all, you'll be annihilating each other. And where will your precious freedom be then? Freedom, in Paul's mind, is not an excuse to do whatever you want to do. Now, let's be clear regarding the freedom we're talking about. We're not talking about national liberty. We are referring to personal agency and autonomy, the ability to make decisions on our own, understanding that the benefits or consequences of those decisions will be ours as well. And it would make complete sense that since your child values freedom so much, they would become incredibly responsible with the freedom afforded them. In fact, let me let you in on a secret about freedom. Responsibility actually feeds freedom. The more responsible your child is, the more freedom we as parents and teachers and coaches and leaders will extend to your child. The best way to handle freedom as a kid, as a middle schooler, as a high schooler, as a college student, as an adult, is responsibly. So here's a question to ask your child child today. What freedom do you really wish you had? Talk about the freedom they want to have. And parents, instead of being completely closed-minded or dangerously open-minded about freedom, talk about the responsibility you want to see from your child. Last year, the She Believes International Women's Soccer Tournament was held here in Atlanta, where I live. There were 4 teams playing in the tournament: Japan, Brazil, Canada, and the United States. One team, however, made an amazing impression on everyone involved. At the conclusion of their match, after the teams had packed up and left, when officials entered Japan's locker room, they found it spotless, clean, cleaner than it was before. The Japanese women's team left the locker room better than they found it. What an amazing illustration for our children. Want your child to gain more freedom from you as a parent or a caregiver? Try insisting on them being that responsible. My name is Stuart Hall. This is the Parent Circle.